Making headlines this hour, President Dr. Mohamed Muiz says the government has made significant progress in empowering young people through a comprehensive policy approach, with youth development remaining one of its highest priorities. The Maldives introduces nucleic acid testing to detect bloodborne infections at an earlier stage and further strengthen the safety of blood transfusion services. And statistics from the Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation shows 32% of tourists who visited the Maldives last year were professionals from various fields or private business owners.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz says the government has made significant progress in empowering young people through a comprehensive policy approach, with youth development remaining one of its highest priorities.
The president made the remarks during the 5th episode of the President's Office podcast series, The Pulse Podcast, which highlights efforts underway to advance various sectors. President Dr. Muiz said youth empowerment remains one of the government's highest priorities. He noted that young people make the greatest contribution to building the national economy, adding that the government has been implementing a range of projects and initiatives to empower them. He said special economic schemes have been introduced to expand opportunities for young people. At the same time, several initiatives have also been implemented to build a capable and resilient younger generation through education. The president said more educational opportunities are now available, including access to higher education, pathways to secure employment after completing studies, opportunities to become financially independent, and further develop their creativity and innovation. He also noted that vocational pathways within the education system have become more accessible. In addition, employment opportunities through the Maldives National Service Program as well as housing opportunities have been expanded for young people. Speaking on the creator economy, President Dr. Muiz said the government aims to increase its contribution to the national economy to 15% by 2030 by increasing greater opportunities in the sector. The president said the government's policies are designed to empower young people across all sectors through a comprehensive and inclusive approach.
President Dr. Mohamed Muiz has announced that all fitness and recreation centers, or FRCs, across the Maldives will be finished by November next year, marking a decisive step toward nationwide sports infrastructure upgrades. In the 5th episode of the Pulse program, the president emphasized that the ongoing projects, already underway on several islands, will ensure that every inhabited island, from the capital Male to the furthest atolls, will boast a modern FRC once completed. Beyond the FRCs, President Muiz outlined additional youth-focused facilities slated for completion by the first quarter of 2028, including an indoor gaming center in Sultan Park and Holomale, a racing and drifting track, and a dedicated go-kart arena on land allocated in Holomale. He also highlighted progress on an international standard surfing stadium in Raulukandu, an indoor bowling arena where land has been handed to contractors, and the construction of international-grade football and netball stadiums. Indoor sports complexes are presently being established on 15 islands at various stages, accommodating roughly 1,200 spectators. The president noted that these initiatives build on the success of existing youth centers and reflect the administration's commitment to expanding sporting opportunities and fostering a healthier, more active younger generation throughout the Maldives. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz ratifies a new law establishing the Maldives' first comprehensive legal framework for human organ transplantation, with the legislation set to take effect 6 months after its publication in the Government Gazette.
The Organ Transplant Act sets out the legal and regulatory framework for the safe and high-quality provision of organ transplant services in the Maldives. It defines the procedures governing organ transplantation while outlining the rights and responsibilities of donors, recipients, and healthcare providers. The bill was initially passed by the 20th Parliament on the 14th of May during the first session of the current parliamentary term. However, President Muiz returned it to Parliament for reconsideration on the 31st of May. Following amendments proposed by the Committee on Social Affairs at its meeting on the 1st of July, lawmakers approved the revised legislation at the 14th sitting of the Majlis' second session on the 14th of July before resubmitting it to the President for ratification. Under the new law, two institutions will oversee the country's organ transplant system. An organ transplant council, to be established by the President, will be responsible for formulating national policies on organ transplantation. Meanwhile, an organ transplant authorization committee will assess and approve individual transplant applications to ensure procedures comply with the law. The legislation also introduces standards and procedures governing organ transplantation alongside offenses and penalties for transplants conducted in violation of the Act. The government says the new legal framework is intended to ensure organ transplant services are carried out safely, ethically, and in accordance with nationally established standards. The act will come into force 180 days after it is ratified by the President and published in the Government Gazette.
The Maldives Immigration inaugurates the Immigration Walk of Legacy, an exhibition commemorating the institution's rich history, while also introducing a series of modern improvements to strengthen passport services for Maldivian citizens.
The exhibition and the new service enhancements were officially launched during a special ceremony at Maldives Immigration by the Minister of Homeland Security, Labor and Technology, Ali Ihsan. According to Maldives Immigration, the latest changes are aimed at making passport services more efficient and accessible by reducing inconveniences faced by the public and delivering faster, more user-friendly services through modern technology. Among the newly introduced services is dedicated assistance for people who face difficulties using digital platforms. Special support has been arranged for senior citizens and persons with disabilities, including assistance with taking passport photographs and completing online passport applications. In addition, a new information counter has been established to provide guidance and general information, while a more comfortable waiting area has been created for members of the public seeking services. Immigration said these improvements form part of its wider efforts to provide reliable, efficient, and modern public services by making greater use of digital technology. The newly opened Immigration Walk of Legacy has been established to preserve and showcase the institution's history, highlighting major achievements, organizational development, and key milestones over the past 7 decades. Located as a permanent exhibition on the first floor of the immigration headquarters at Villa Nage, the display traces the history of Maldives immigration from its establishment in 1950 to the present day. It features photographs and profiles of individuals who contributed to the institution's growth, along with important historical records. The exhibition presents a chronological account of the organization's development from the 1950s through the 2020s. A special section titled From the Archive displays historical photographs and memories shared by former immigration officers who played a role in the institution's development. Visitors can also view displays illustrating the expansion of immigration services across the Maldives, including maps showing the islands where passport services are currently available. Other sections focus on the institution's core responsibilities, including passport services, border management by air and sea, intelligence operations, law enforcement, and visa services. These exhibits highlight how the organization's responsibilities have evolved over time and provide historical information about each area. An achievement gallery showcases some of Maldives' immigration's most significant accomplishments, while the exhibition concludes with displays featuring the digital technologies currently used to deliver faster and more efficient public services. The ceremony was attended by retired officers who dedicated many years of service to Maldives' immigration, giving them an opportunity to reflect on their careers. Officers who have served the institution continuously for more than 28 years also took part in the event. Maldives Immigration said the exhibition stands as a tribute to the dedication and commitment of the officers and staff whose service has helped transform the institution into the modern organization it is today.
The Privatization and Corporatization Board, or PCB, appoints new members to the boards of directors of 4 state-owned companies. The companies receiving new board members are Maldives Hutch Corporation, Housing Development Corporation, or HDC, Island Aviation Services Limited, and Fahidiri Ulung Corporation, or FDC. Appointments made to the companies are as follows: Abdullah Yamin to Maldives Hutch Corporation, Maisha Ibrahim to Housing Development Corporation, Shahid Musa to Island Aviation Services Limited, and Ahmad Mazin to Fahidiri Ulung Corporation. The government said the appointments are aimed at strengthening the management and governance of state-owned companies. The newly appointed board members are qualified individuals with education and experience in various fields. The Maldives introduces nucleic acid testing to detect blood-borne infections at an earlier stage and further strengthen the safety of blood transfusion services.
Nucleic acid testing is an advanced technology used to identify infections such as HIV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C in donated blood significantly earlier than conventional testing methods. Chief Executive Officer of Male City Group of Hospitals, Ibrahim Abdul Razzaq Halim, said the introduction of the service marks an important national milestone in modernizing blood services and aligning them with international standards. In a social media post, CEO Halim said the initiative supports President Dr. Mohamed Muizz's policies and pledges to strengthen the health sector and improve the quality of services provided to the public. He said the new testing service would help make blood services safer and more modern while ensuring they are delivered in line with international standards. CEO Halim also described the initiative as an important national step towards achieving the standards set for blood services and the strategic objectives outlined in the Maldives Thalassemia Master Plan for 2024 to 2034.
Statistics from the Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation shows 32% of the tourists who visited the Maldives last year were professionals from various fields or private business owners.
The Maldives Visitor Survey published by the Tourism Ministry reveals business owners and managers constituted an additional 26% of arrivals, which combined with the professional demographic accounted for 58% of the total tourist influx last year. Technical workers and technicians made up 8% of the total, while service and sales employees, administrative staff, and retirees each evenly accounted for 6% of the surveyed arrivals. The Visitor Survey indicated the highest volume of individuals traveling to the island nation for business purposes last year originated from neighboring India. This business segment represented 55% of all tourists visiting from that country. The United States occupied the second position on this demographic list with 49%, whereas Germany and Spain identified as the 2 European nations sending the highest volume of tourists to the island, tied for third with 41% of their visitors arriving for commercial purposes. 6 out of every 10 people who visited last year were professionals or private entrepreneurs, the ministry stated, highlighting that the destination has maintained its popularity among high-income earners. A total of 1,180,195 tourists have visited the Maldives so far this year, statistics show, including 9,638 visitors who traveled for various business purposes.
The Maldives Media Institute, or MMI, concludes its holiday camp, organized especially for school children during the school holidays. This year's camp also introduced 2 new media-related workshops. Organized by the Maldives Media Institute, which operates under Public Service Media or PSM, the holiday camp was held from the 18th to the 23rd of July. A total of 90 children aged between 8 and 17 took part in this year's program. This year's camp featured 2 new workshops, the Photo Fun Lab, which teaches children photo editing, and the Animator Junior course, which introduces animation. The program also continued its popular embroidery and clothing design workshop, which has been offered in previous editions of the camp. A certificate presentation ceremony was held today to mark the conclusion of the holiday camp. Speaking at the ceremony, PSM Managing Director Ahmad Shakib said the institute carefully selects workshops that provide the greatest benefit to children. Throughout the camp, participants received training in a wide range of creative and media-related skills, including television presenting, radio presenting, hosting and public speaking, photo editing, animation, hand embroidery and clothing design, smartphone filmmaking, arts and crafts, and journalism. Participants described the holiday camp as a valuable experience that allowed them to develop new skills and gain practical knowledge in different areas. According to the Maldives Media Institute, the annual holiday workshops continue to receive strong support from parents. The institute said the camps help children develop a range of media-related skills while also fostering a better understanding of the role of the media and encouraging its responsible use. The institute said it will continue its efforts to inspire greater interest among young people in the media industry. These efforts include providing specialized training for school children and encouraging more young people to pursue opportunities in media presentation and other related fields. Insights into business. Antwerp's diamond trade celebrates as the United States restored a tariff exemption for polished diamonds, ending months of uncertainty for the Belgian industry. The exemption had lapsed after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Trump's global tariffs in February, forcing Belgian diamond exporters to pay a 10% duty.
It means that diamonds that are polished in our country can now move freely without tariffs to the United States. And why is it so important? The United States is 55% or more of world diamond consumption. So it's our major export partner when it comes to exporting polished diamonds.
She added the United States represents 55% or more of world diamond consumption, making it Belgium's major export partner for polished diamonds. The restoration comes as the White House imposed new tariffs of 10% and 12.5% on goods from 60 trading partners, including the EU and China. However, many goods will be exempted from the duties, including polished diamonds along with oil, gas, fertilizer, and certain foodstuffs. Rentmeesters expected immediate activity from traders who had delayed shipments during the tariff period.
A lot of people will have held on to certain shipments that they wouldn't have sent to the United States under a 10% tariff, and that they will send now. And knowing my people in my industry very well, they will do so immediately. So I expect that today our diamond office in Antwerp will be very busy with people who have been waiting for this moment and hoping for this moment to happen. And we will see in the next couple of weeks, even though it's a summer recess, so it's a very slow period. But I'm expecting to see some uptick in goods going to the United States from Antwerp.
Belgium exported $2.1 billion of polished diamonds to the United States in 2024.
Updates on international events. A global hunger monitor says more than 2/3 of Gazans could face acute hunger by year end as humanitarian agencies cut aid flows due to funding shortages. The latest assessment by the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification found that acute malnutrition levels, particularly among children, had declined significantly after food supplies and nutrition services were stepped up following the October 2025 ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. However, the report said those gains risk being reversed. Food consumption remains inadequate for most families, and some households resort to begging and scavenging for food. The IPC said between mid-April and the end of June, more than 1.2 million people, or about 59% of Gaza's population, faced acute hunger, defined as crisis level or worse, including around 212,000 people in emergency conditions. That level is expected to rise to more than 1.2 million people, or 67% by December. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres echoed the warning, saying the projected rise reflects the bitter toll of restricted aid access and ongoing violence, according to UN spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric.
Regarding Gaza, he warned that despite life-saving impact of humanitarian aid, the number of those facing high level of food insecurity is expected to rise in the coming months to 1.4 million people, roughly 70% of the population. This is the bitter toll of restrictions on aid access and continuing violence, he asserted.
Guterres also called for strengthening the UN's mediation role.
An Iranian military spokesman says that the United States had deployed against Iran weapons it had never used in any previous war.
General Abul Fazl Shekarchi said Washington had brought every capability, every weapon, and every forecast it had stockpiled for World War III to bear on the Islamic Republic. The remarks came a day before the U.S. military completed its 13th consecutive night of strikes against Iran. The war has spread to a second major shipping choke point after Yemeni fighters struck 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea, prompting U.S. President Donald Trump to promise major military punishment for Iran and its Houthi allies.
Moving on to sports, Barcelona signs German winger Karim Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund on a deal until 2031.
Financial details were not disclosed by the clubs, but media reports said the deal was worth $25.1 million plus add-ons and includes a sell-on clause.
I think now I play for the biggest club in the world, so it's an honor, first of all, and I want to show the team, the coach, everybody who support Barcelona that I'm here to win things and to help the team.
Adeyemi joined Dortmund in 2022 from Austria side Red Bull Salzburg and made 146 appearances for the Bundesliga club, scoring 36 goals in all competitions. The 24-year-old reunites with Hansi Flick, who handed him his senior debut for the Germany national team during the coach's 2-year spell in charge. Adeyemi is renowned for his scintillating pace, having set a Bundesliga speed record at the time when he clocked 36.65 kilometers per hour during Dortmund's 5-1 win over Freiburg in the 2022-2023 season. Adeyemi becomes Barcelona's second attack-minded signing of the transfer window after the arrival of Anthony Gordon from Newcastle United. He joins the Spanish champions amid a reshaping of their forward line following Robert Lewandowski's move to Chicago Fire and Marcus Rashford returning to Manchester United after his loan spell at the Catalan club.
Concluding with news and lifestyle, Egypt reopens the restored mausoleum dome of Mamluk Sultan Al-Ashraf Qitbeh in Cairo, marking the completion of a restoration project funded by the U.S. Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation.
The dome is part of the Sultan Qaitbay complex in Cairo's Al Jamaliya district, which is part of historic Cairo, a UNESCO-listed World Heritage Site. It is considered one of the finest examples of 15th century Mamluk architecture. The restoration project was carried out by Archanos Architecture under the supervision of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities.
This is a part of the complex, which is much bigger, his funerary complex that he erected here in the year 1472 to 74. Sultan Qaitbay was a great patron of architecture. He had buildings all over Egypt and beyond Egypt, and this complex is one of the examples of the beautiful architecture that he was responsible for.
Speaking at the reopening ceremony, Egypt's Tourism and Antiquities Minister Sharifati said Egypt is committed to restoring and preserving heritage sites. He added that the project is part of the broader cooperation between Egypt and the U.S. government.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.